Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Growing Up with Godzilla. My name is Donny Winter, and this is my show where I have conversations with Godzilla fans about how they've grown with the character and franchise over time. We are nearing the last portion of season 4. I think we have like 9 episodes left, which is kind of hard to believe. It has felt like a whirlwind to me personally, but I'm really excited for everyone to experience the remaining conversations, and I appreciate everyone who's tuned in for the prior ones. As you are aware, I've had some familiar faces returning, I've had some new faces making appearances, and tonight I am super stoked to have on one of the coolest people I know, composer, conductor, director, John DeSentis. How are you?
Hey Donnie, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
I am wonderful. It's great to have you on. I'm pretty stoked to nerd out with you about music.
Yeah, man, I'm pretty stoked myself.
Oh my goodness. So, we met back at G-Fest 2019, ever so briefly, because you were super busy that year,
Correct.
working on the phenomenal concert that was called Kaiju Crescendo, an evening of Japanese monster music. Can you believe that that's been like 6 years ago already?
No, no, not at all, actually. And you know, just having experienced everything that all of us experienced within that time, like it feels like you know how like when people get abducted by aliens, like they have that phenomenon called missing time, where you cannot account for what happened between the hours of like 2 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Yep.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Like it almost feels like it was a completely different reality, having since experienced the pandemic and name the calamity, right? But I will never forget, that was probably one of my favorite G Fests. Like, it wasn't an official event that was in G Fest itself, but it took place outside of G Fest.
Mhm.
And it was a crowd-funded concert. I think you raised around like $46,000. There were about like 357 people contributing to it. And as a result, like, you were able to put together this concert featuring Akira Ifukube's music, Masaru Sato's music, Michiru Oshima's music, and she was there as well.
Indeed.
Uh, Pinch me. I still
It
cannot believe it happened.
Yeah, and it was our best orchestra that we had, best venue, and a lot of really good memories tied to that one, and world premieres of like Rodan and the Three Treasures, Birth of Japan, her music, obviously, the Masaru Sato stuff,
Mhm.
and I mean, on my end of things, my personal favorite moment, my personal triumph, I think, was in the Mysterian Suite, was the appearance of Mogera, and
Mm.
because it was just something about the timbre of the orchestra, the way that they sort of just made the way that the trombone players were just and the tuba player were just like sounding that out. Oh, it was so freaking great.
I'm not gonna lie, like, that whole evening felt very Hollywood because, like, we all, like, we went to this beautiful, I can't remember the name of the venue. Can you remember the name
It
of the
was
venue?
the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie, Illinois. A very, very long title.
Yes, I remember, like, I remember, like, we got, like, an Uber to get there, and it took a little while to get there, but it was worth it. But, like,
Yeah.
we were all, like, dressed up, like, formal dress clothes, like, we were just outside meeting and greeting and then, like,
Mhm.
going. It felt very bougie. Like, and it was great experiencing that, and then just being able to sit down and experience that childhood wonder again, because I don't think people realize how important and integral the music is to the stories in Godzilla films,
And
especially.
well, and hopefully after this episode, they'll have, if they don't already appreciate it, they'll have a new appreciation for it as we talk about it.
Well, I hope that you're all ready for us to nerd out, because we're going to be doing some hefty nerding out
We're gonna
throughout this.
some heavy lifting when it comes to the music nerding.
Because that's our forte. Oh God, okay. Ignore
That
me.
was no, I got it, dude. That was actually I'll give it to you. That was quality.
Thank you. Former musician over here. Well, not
Uh,
so former. I still do music, but
oh, what do you
um,
play?
I play the saxophone and the piano.
Right on.
And I used to really, really love musical composition. That was actually one of my favorite things to do. And then, like, I remember one of my earliest memories, and then we'll get back to you. And I'm like monopolizing that conversation,
No,
but
that's all right.
way back in like the mid 2000s, I remember one of the things that I was nerding out about is I got to contribute um, saxophone tablatures to Toho Kingdom on their like because they went through like this
Hmm.
phase where they were like getting like tablatures for like music and like
Yeah.
here's how to play this. I was doing that for like a couple of years and so I would literally like write out like the music itself and like try to by ear listen to it and it was so fun.
And so, what made? Do you still compose music?
It's been like if I really sat down, I could probably do it, but it's
I
been
think
a
you
long,
should.
long time. Oh,
I think you
well,
should.
you just made my day. And you know, because I've been like kind of having that itch, at least to play the piano recently, because like I do enjoy that too. So like maybe that will be kind of like my catalyst to get back into music. See, this is this is actually why I do these episodes.
Well,
That way I can be creatively inspired by other people.
listen. Music, I will always encourage and support and advocate for people to do the artistic things that they love doing, whether it's painting, drawing, but especially when it comes to music, music's just one of those things. It sort of it's kind of like the Force in Star Wars. I talk about it the way Obi-Wan talks about the Force. It penetrates us, it binds us, and it's music is my life. So
Mhm.
um, that makes me happy to hear that you have some musical inclination, and I think you should just get back to just write for yourself, even if nobody ever hears it. Like I write stuff all the time that nobody will
Oh
ever
my
hear.
goodness.
So
So, one final random factoid, and then we will get back to the questions. But no, so I remember when Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, the MonsterVerse one, and like the way um, the musical score for that film brought together all of those classic themes. Like I remember, like after going to the movie, I just sat at the piano and I was just like, I'm gonna like somehow medley together Godzilla's theme and Mothra's theme. And I did, and I ended up posting it on YouTube. And I was like, oh my god, it actually people liked it. Because I'm not like the best piano player, but like
nor am I.
I was able to piece it together by ear, which
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are like, wow, okay. Like so
And I'll be honest with you, Donnie, that is the greatest gift. If you have a good ear, that's your best weapon as a musician, believe it or not.
yes, especially with regard from what I've heard with regard to composition. I just wish I could use that good ear for singing. I would love to sing better. But that's a whole nother like that's my dream to be a Mothra fairy, you know. So
It's never
but
too late.
it is never too late. Never
By
too
the way,
late.
like I said, repping Mothra back there, got the hoodies
Uh
in hoodie row back there. Cavity colors just make awesome stuff?
they're kind of iconic. Like they do make the best things. And as the older I get, the more into like kaiju clothes I really fixate on. So okay, well for the sheer sake of discussing music, I think you need to show everybody your amazing tattoo and
Oh,
talk about
of
it.
course. So this is
Oh.
My Godzilla 54 arm, and as you can see, I chose to get the puppet head and using my skin tone as the breath effect, obviously. And we got the Japanese title card kind of on my wrist here, and then bookending it with the American font kind of over here. But the real thing here is this, which is Akira Ifukube's handwritten score from Godzilla 54. This is the violin line that starts. This is the start of ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. And because I have a scan of his surviving manuscript from Godzilla 54, which I've worked from before. So, and the cool thing about this is you notice there's a 5 and a 4 here. Now, those are on the manuscript in red. This is like I said, this is 1-to-1, his handwriting. The 5 and the 4 are simply time signatures because the music starts in 4, it goes to a measure of 5/4, and then there was a measure of 4/4 coming up.
Mm.
However, obviously, given that the movie came out in 54, the fact that there was a 5 and a 4 right there, I was like, and they were written in red, I had to kind of keep it like that. So, uh,
That is very apt. That is I love that.
yeah.
Quite
And then on the
possibly
other
one of the
side, I have
coolest.
Jaws here, so might get those musical notes.
The classic creatures.
My
No,
other
like
arm, my other arm is a Superman arm. That's in the works. So,
so it's gonna develop to will there be music manifesting on that too, hopefully?
yes, I'm planning on getting the ba ba da ba 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 on there as well. So,
No, I am that is exciting. I mean, I love tattoos. I have a few tattoos myself, but, like, when we can take, like, multiple things that we love and then combine them together like that, it makes them even more fulfilling, right?
indeed.
So, well, I, of course, have us here to nerd out about music, but I think before we really delve into some of our favorite aspects, I think we should learn a little bit more about your history as a Godzilla fan. Because obviously, like what we go through brings us to who we are now
Mhm.
as Godzilla fans. So, how were you first introduced to Godzilla? Share your story all the way from the beginning.
Okay, the beginning is it's a story I've told many times. It's really quite simple. I was a fan of dinosaurs. That's how it started. And my grandmother, bless her, still have her in my life. Love her very much. She lives down in Florida. Um, she did not know the difference between Godzilla and a Tyrannosaurus Rex. So she brought me home a movie one day when she was getting her prescriptions filled. She brought me a movie home, and she's like, "I got you this dinosaur movie called Godzilla versus Megalon," and I was like, "So Godzilla versus Megalon was, as I remember it, my first Godzilla movie on VHS, and it was perfect because it was superhero Godzilla. You know, I was about 4 to 5 years old, so prime to be able to watch that like on the VCR.
Mhm.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, I think my second Godzilla movie was King Kong versus Godzilla. Also brought home from my grandmother because I had already been a fan of King Kong. I don't know if there used to be this thing called the Disney Channel. Disney Channel used to show the original 1933 King Kong, and I remember they also used to show Godzilla Raids again, like back
Mhm.
to back with it a lot. So, but I was a lover of the original Kong, still am. I think it's the quite possibly the greatest fantasy film ever made. And my Gram's like, I this is the again, sometimes legend trumps reality, but this is kind of like the memory I have is her being like, "Oh, I found a movie where that Godzilla dinosaur fights King Kong." And so she would just, as I fell in love with this character, she would just come home like week after week with another VHS tape. And then, soon it was Godzilla versus Gigan. Then it was Godzilla 1985, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, because New World had put them out. And there was, then came this.
Mhm.
And then I didn't know how to react to this. And I'll tell you, this scared am I allowed to curse on
You
here? Or do
can
we?
swear as much as you want on here.
Okay, this movie scared the living shit out of me the first time I saw it because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another Godzilla movie. But then, and I believe it was on TV. I think it was on TV that I had seen it, and I'm like, this is in black and white, so it's already kind of like, but I'm already used to black and white movies, so that was all right. And I was still very young. I had to have been like right around that age, right around 6 years old, I'm guessing.
Mhm.
And I'm like, why is Godzilla killing people? Why is he breathing fire on people? Why are people screaming like? Because if you remember in the American version, they just would dub in those like visceral like terror agonizing screams like when he
Mhm.
drops the train out of his mouth or
Oh,
when he
yeah.
when he blows up the police car and stuff like that. And it was the look of the 54 Godzilla, like the eyes kind of looking down. And it was specifically the puppet that scared the hell out of me the most. Like that shot that they used where the head kind of goes like this and is spraying the breath effect. Like I used to turn my head, I couldn't. It scared the living shit out of me, and like so I didn't know how to react to Godzilla 1954 the first time I saw it.
Oh, me too. So like the puppet freaked me out too. I think what the scene that freaked me out was like, was it when the bell tower was going off and it was just like
Oh,
kind
and
of
he's just ah, ah.
like
Yeah,
I was just like, ooh, I don't like that gesture. What do you do? Like, ooh,
yeah.
like it was very like primal looking, and it was scary for me as like a kid. So
And then those poor guys are there, like looking up, and then he's just like,
yeah. Now for a 5-year-old, like I can imagine that was
yeah.
yeah.
It took me a couple of years before I got back into Godzilla 54, and now it's simply I think one of my favorite films of all time, and I just, for obvious reasons why we all love Godzilla 54. It's the
Mhm.
start. It has a lot to say, and just a work of art. And I'll tell you what, Donnie, just really quickly, it has been really, really one of the great pleasures over the last like 20 years, since about 2004, when they started like when Western audience or critics started reappraising the movie and
Mhm.
celebrating it, as like when it was re-released for the 50th anniversary, and then 60 and 70 years here we are. That's really satisfying to see that movie kind of be looked at in a more positive light than
Yeah.
just some cheap monster on the loose movie.
Yeah, like I do think that there has been definitely a shift in like the cultural, like pop cultural, like socio-political respect that Godzilla receives, right?
Yeah,
And which is maybe it could be, I mean there could be a variety of reasons why that is. Maybe it's the successes of like the MonsterVerse and Shin Godzilla, minus like all of those contributing factors, but like I think it's important that audiences always give those films that were scrutinized like a second look, right?
yeah. And I think a lot of it, because if you mind me asking, how old are you, Donnie?
I am 36, gonna be 37 this year.
Okay, so you're not far away from me in age. So you definitely know. I thought you were much younger than that. So
Oh,
keep it up.
thank you.
I'm turning 41 a month from yesterday.
I
So
literally thought you were in your early 30s, so look
you
at
know
us
what?
complimenting each other.
The lighting. You can't see all the grays in my beard. I've got a lot more of them now than before.
But, you
But
know, we're aging like fine wine, that's what matters.
or me like cheese. But
Oh,
anyway.
well,
Uh,
cheese and wine go well together.
there you go. That's right, my friend. So do you obviously remember what it was like between the Final Wars and the legendary Godzilla? There was
It
nothing.
was awful. It was
It was a
terrible.
it was a barren wasteland. There, Bandai would put out the occasional figure every now and then, but it was nothing. And then it's like we go from that to the legendary film comes out, and I fully credit Godzilla's popularity to the MonsterVerse,
Mhm.
the revival, and then Shin Godzilla as well. Like, it just seemed like nobody cared about Godzilla outside of the fans, and then all of a sudden, boom! Like everything just blows up, you know. And here we are, and now it's like Godzilla is everywhere. You can't go to a single store without finding something with Godzilla on it. And like I like how Toho finally, the new regime at Toho, whatever such as they are, as I'm led to believe, there was a new regime that took over in the
Mhm.
last 10 to 15 years. Toho now are licensing things from Godzilla that like they would have never done before. Versions of Godzilla, like the Hanna-Barbera version, you can find on official merchandise. The Marvel
Mhm.
version, they wanted nothing to do with that, even like 10 to 12 years ago, because I believe NECA wanted to do some of those, and Toho was not interested in that. But now it's like, I think they just really kind of realized we leave a lot of money on the table when we don't just say here. It's such passive income for them to just license Godzilla out. So Godzilla's everywhere. It's like
Oh,
I
yeah.
never thought I would see it. I never thought I would see it like this.
I never thought either, 'cause, yeah, like you were mentioning that span of 10 years, a desert. It was I mean, other than the Pipeworks games, like, there really wasn't a lot of things that we could latch onto as Godzilla fans, and I mean, I do agree 100% that the MonsterVerse is largely responsible for, like, kind of elevating Godzilla back into, like, the pop cultural zeitgeist, you could say, right?
Hmm.
Especially in the West. Like, in the West, like, Godzilla always kind of had, like, that negative reputation, but it seems like the MonsterVerse kind of at least made people like take another look and be like, oh, actually, as like an intellectual property, Godzilla is pretty cool, has a lot of versatility, and I think now Toho realizing that is quite possibly one of the best things for us as fans that we could
I
ever
think
hope
so.
for.
I think so too, because you get everybody's got a little bit of something, and like I, you know, I like a lot of what the MonsterVerse has to offer. I I wasn't the biggest fan of Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire, mostly just because like I liked Godzilla versus Kong much better because like they still looked like giant monsters in that movie. Like when
Mhm.
Godzilla comes ashore in Hong Kong, like when his foot comes down, it just kind of pans up to him. Like those were some of like the best presentations of Godzilla that we've seen. Like that's what
Mhm.
I want to see like as a fan. But like if the MonsterVerse is your flavor, that's cool and all. We got the anime movies, which I wasn't a fan of, but then we got Godzilla Singular Point, which I was a big fan of,
Mhm.
and then we get Godzilla -1, and ah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
couldn't get
and
enough
I
of that movie.
I recently made a video about this exact thing, because and I mentioned in it that I really think that Toho experimenting during those years was crucial in sustaining the franchise as it is now. Like, I don't like the sign of a healthy franchise, in my opinion, is reflects in like a willingness to be like, oh, this IP is established. Now we can actually kind of do things with it we've never done before.
Yeah,
And I definitely look at the anime trilogy and Singular Point as those like experiments. I also really enjoyed Godzilla Singular Point.
yeah, and the sort of the persona of Jet Jaguar in that was, I thought, brilliant. Like it was a
Same.
really brilliant sort of reinvention of the character, and I was surprised. The only thing I couldn't stand in that was the way they treated my boy Angiras. He is my favorite monster after Godzilla, and I'm just like, why is he only the size of a bus? And why are they just killing him off again? Like, come on, like
And
let's
I share that frustration with how Mothra has been depicted in the anime adaptations, like either a shadow or like a flock of butterfly or moths. I'm like, what are we like? Come on, like, what are we doing? Like, I need more presence. But I digress. No, so okay, so your single digit years, your grandmother was largely responsible for steering you in the direction of
correct.
Godzilla movies, which love you, grandma, for that. Like that is wonderful. How about as you veered into the teenage years? Like, how did things shift?
Well, what held my interest as I got into the teenage years was me sort of finding out the craftsmanship behind these movies and sort of going back and being, loving movies like Godzilla 1954, really everything from the mid 50s up through like the mid 60s and even beyond that. Like I'm a fan of the 70s films, you know what I mean? So, um as I got into the more serious aspects of it and I started looking like deeper into the meaning of like some of like what Ishiro Honda was like trying to do and the stories
Mhm.
he was trying to tell, um that's what really kept me going as a fan, and also discovering things like G-Fan, discovering that there was, because you know what I mean, like I thought I was like the only one,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like I didn't realize that there was a world of Godzilla fans out there and stuff like that. So that just kind of opened up everything for me, and I, again, it was just going back and really getting to know, like when I bought Ed Godzacheski's Godzilla Encyclopedia,
Oh, yes.
Steve Rifle's first book, Japan's Favorite Monstar, read those things cover to cover multiple times, and I'm like learning things about these movies that I never knew before, and just all that did was just stoke the fires of fascination when it came to how much I love these things.
Yeah. No, like I remember that those early pieces of literature too. Like, and whenever you would get a hold of them, it was just like it kind of acted like this sacred text for us, you know.
Hmm.
Um, no, and I think those are I would love to do an episode at some point or a video at some point talking about those like early pieces of like, well, at least early for us. pieces of like Godzilla oriented like encyclopedic literature, right? So,
Yeah. Well,
but
have you did you get the new book? Did you get Stephen Ed's new book? The first
no,
Zeitgeist?
I have it wish listed, but I do
Oh,
not
it's
have it yet. I
oh,
am so
it's
excited.
it's so grand and awesome, and I'm just, I'm so proud of those guys, and just, you know,
Uh,
it's great. It's such a great. It's a must have, like a definitive, as definitive as they could get it, you know, sort of deal. And yeah, just that book is just
mhm,
awesome.
yeah. No, I am so excited to eventually get it. I think that'll be like a holiday time thing for me. So I am waiting with bated breath. So, all right. So the teenage years, you were getting into it more, and then spanning into adulthood. What did that look like for you?
Uh, just more of the same. I just like my love of these movies and just wanting to keep learning about them just never really waned. And by that point, I'd sort of, well, in my teenage years and into my early adulthood is when, well, my teenage years are when I became a musician. I became a bass player, and wanted to play in rock bands, and did play, and I had bands and stuff in high school, and then right after high school and beyond. And
That's so cool.
yeah, and right about the time I was 20, I want to say 20 or 21, I realized that I wanted to compose music for films or any kind of like media, you know what I mean? But like, I had always been a film score fan. My first ever, I believe my first ever like CD soundtrack that I owned of a score was Godzilla versus Destroyer.
Oh,
And yep. Think about that one being the first one. And the thing is, so I used to order stuff from Club Daikaiju, and
mhm.
I always knew, like, they were always good about like getting things shipped, so that I always knew that from the time I sent the money order out to the time that I would get whatever I was ordering, it would be about 1 week. So I had guessed that the day that that CD was going to show up, like my mom and dad would go to work during the day, so I'd be left home. I played hooky that day. I was sick from school that day, and uh, when the mail came, sure enough, little CD sized box was in the mailbox, and I can't even tell you because like I had a night, like I asked for a stereo for Christmas or my birthday or whatever, so I had a really good stereo with a CD player and all that jazz.
Mhm.
And Donnie, when I tell you the moment that like Destroy Hong Kong came on, and like you got to remember
Oh,
there's nobody home. So I literally just cranked the volume as loud as I
oh shit.
possibly could. And then you just ba-dum,
Pum,
ba, ba,
pum, pum,
ba, ba,
pum,
ba,
pum, pum,
boom,
pum.
boom,
Oh,
ba, and I'm like, and then oh
I would
man,
have been flailing.
I was like, it was like an emotional religious experience for me. And then like playing the end title music, and then
Mhm.
hearing the ba da da ba da da ba da 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 da
Were
da
you
for the
sobbing during the requiem? I would have been.
oh yeah, dude, I played it. I played it all day. I played the soundtrack all day as loud as I could until my parents got home. My dad came home usually around like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it was a great day. Like I timed that one perfectly, and I had my Godzilla toys and everything. But that was my first CD soundtrack, I think, of film music. And then I think my second might have been like Superman or Star Wars.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I like music before I even got any of the musical scores. I think my first musical score, no, the first kaiju music CD I ever got, I think was the Monster Mania
Oh, the
CD.
re-recording from
Yes,
'98.
the
Yeah.
re-recordings. I think that was the first one I ever got, and I loved it because it was also like one of those teasers. Because like the Trendmasters toys were teasing the Heisei era. That CD was too, because at that time I had not, aside from like the Return of Godzilla and Godzilla versus Biollante, I hadn't seen any of those other films. So I was
It
just
took
like,
me. I echo that experience because it took me a minute to be able to find those as well.
yeah, like, well, and I don't think they were released until the late 90s. So like we were
Yeah.
really just stuck with in the ether of like, do these films exist? But I remember when I finally did see the films, like my parents would let me record them on our VCRs, and what I would do is I would take my little cassette player, I would hold it up to the TV speaker or to the TV, whatever it's called, and then I would like record the music onto my cassette so I could like go outside and listen to it later. It was the amount of cassette tapes I wasted on Mothra songs would make anyone concerned about me.
Well, and that's the thing. There's so many great Mothra songs that like you're gonna go through some tape on those.
Oh yeah, the 92 Mothra song.
That is, yeah. I mean, and like we talked about even before we started recording. That is my favorite of Akira Ifukube's 90s scores. Believe it or not, I don't necessarily. I think Mechagodzilla is probably in his best, but that one is my personal favorite, just because of the variety of music that's on it. And I love Mothra's battle theme in that. Like the ba da na 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 ba 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 bam bam ba ba. That I love that theme. I play that pretty often. I love Batra's theme in that so much.
Oh, and then like the sacred spring scenes, like so beautiful. Like that film, I think just, even though I know it gets a lot of flack sometimes, like I think that it just has so much wonder about it that's like, it's almost just like relaxing to watch that movie as a result.
I don't know if you so do you remember when Pluto TV had the Godzilla channel here that's now not on there anymore?
Yes.
Did you watch Godzilla versus Mothra 92 when it was on there by any chance?
I did not, no.
Okay, this was so cool, and I think it was Eric Hominick who pointed this out to me. We got to talk about his upcoming book, by the way, in a little bit. If we're talking about soundtracks and composers.
We have to.
So, do you remember how infuriating it was when Sony put out King Ghidorah and Mothra and they cut the end credits off?
Oh, infuriating. Infuriating.
So, I don't know. I don't think it did this for King Ghidorah, but they showed the print of Godzilla versus Mothra 92 where the credits are cut off. However, they keep playing the music over a black screen.
They were we got to keep this music in here.
I'm not kidding you. Like it was, because like he had told me, Eric had mentioned it to me, I believe, and I was like, get out of here. And it was so freaking like you would sit there and like just like the copyright would fade out, but the music would just keep going over a black screen, and it was just like so dreamy and awesome to like watch. Because here's my hot take. As beautiful as the score to Mothra vs. Godzilla, the 1964 film is, and as beautiful as that original Sacred Fountain is with the Ito sisters, my favorite version of that melody is the end titles from 92. And there's no singing in it. It's just like enunciations. There's no lyrics, I should say. But just the way it sounds and the way that the orchestra performs it and the way like the chorus is sort of like singing it, that's just my favorite.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was trying to think of a word to describe the musical score for that film. It's not just beautiful. I think it's also haunting in a way, because like I just feel like there's so much ambiance like in each of those songs, like especially the actual Mothra song from that film, like the whole scene where like they're walking up to the window and they're singing, and it's juxtaposed with Mothra destroying things. Like it's such a very haunting scene to watch with that music. But can you imagine like if it was just like any other random music, it would not have had really that degree of haunting quality, right?
No, I don't think so. And just the fact that it was Mothra again, and Ifukube had written such good music for Mothra in the 60s, and he could sort of draw upon that to kind of modernize it. I love that score so much.
Oh my goodness. Well, so like you clearly fell in love with the music so much, like you were saying that you became a musician, right?
Yeah.
You had bands, like, so like at a certain point, like it just kind of, pressed onward from there, and you ended up composing music for like film and everything too.
I have
I said like
independent films,
like Epidemic, Fight Valley, right? Like those, like, and I'm sure there's many other ones.
You did your research, yeah. You went on my IMDb page.
I was looking. I was like, I need to familiarize myself with everything.
Yeah,
So.
and most recently, for my friend John Hale, his segment "Deep in the Heart" for the film "Worst Laid Plans," a horror anthology, that can be watched on Tubi.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I got to have some real players on that one. He gave me a budget for that. So John Hale is a great friend, great collaborator, um, and
You
yeah.
know, I'm
So
I'm I'm all about full circle moments. How does it feel to watch a film featuring music you've composed and directed and conducted? How does it feel? I know that's a
uh,
big question.
it's honestly, I don't really like to all that much because I always feel like the work is never done, it just gets handed in. And
Oh, okay.
and I'm very critical of my own stuff, as I am sort of critical of myself, especially in recent years. And like, I enjoy the process. I enjoy seeing the final product. I enjoy when my collaborators, like my friend Kyle Gilmore, who is a Godzilla fan, I'm sure you've seen him around.
Mhm.
That's who I just did this mammoth project in Nashville in conjunction with for his baby, The Horror
Oh.
Chronicles. I've scored things for Kyle, and we actually have an animated short that's out in some festivals. It's going out to festivals right now, called Cold Calling, which it was a really like a 7-minute little animated piece, but really had a lot of fun doing that with them. Kyle's another one, Kyle Gilmore, who is
Mhm.
just one of my dearest best friends, great collaborator. We have such a great working relationship together. And like, he trusts me so much with music that when I work on a project with him, he just sort of is like, yeah, man, you know what you're doing. And I love what you do. And he just sort of lets me do my thing. So when you got collaborators that are like that, because I've had it go both ways. I've had really bad collaborators, I've had great collaborators. Um, that's a great feeling. So,
Yeah.
but no, to answer your question, I it's disingenuous for me to say like I don't enjoy hearing like when I hear a final mix that really sounds good, or um, I know that something I was involved in has had some measure of success. That's a great feeling. I'm just sort of super like critical of my own creations.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
so like when like if people like make fun of my music, I'm just like, that's cool. Like I make you can't hurt me. Like I'm already like, yeah, I could have done this better or that better, you know? So it's like
Oh my
you,
goodness. No, I
you
love
know,
th well, that's a great answer, though, like, I think it's an answer that people don't often realize or expect from those of us who are creators, right? Like, sometimes, like, we are very critical of the work that we put out there, and we don't always necessarily like to re-experience it. Like, I know there's a lot of creators I've spoken with who, like, they in their minds, they have, like, this headspace where they're like, all right, I have finished that project now. It is in the past. I'm not lingering in the past. I am now looking at what's ahead,
and
kind
that
of like
was
focusing on that.
and that was to get to that point was actually an evolution for me because I used to be the opposite. I used to be so like arrogantly proud of the stuff I did that I would think that, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. I got it right, blah blah blah. Like we're going back a ways, and like I've sort of like grown and evolved the opposite direction to where like I get almost like when I listen to stuff back and it's not, I'm feeling good, but it's not perfect. It's very humbling, and I'm
Mhm.
kind of like, but I also don't forget to enjoy the fact that when I get to create something, it's a privilege. And sort of like I said, right now I'm mixing the Horror Chronicles Revisited. I'm mastering those tracks next week. I was just in Nashville last week for 7 days. 3 of those days were spent recording with orchestral players, and
Mm.
that's going to be up on every streaming service for in the beginning of October. And the next thing I'm doing is for Kyle. He's doing a stage play, or I'm sorry, his wife Brandy is directing a stage play. They have a company called uh, Twin City Entertainment, and I hope I didn't just screw that up because I'm just going right off the top of my head. But
Mhm.
she's Brandy is directing Murder on the Orient Express for the stage, and
Oh.
typically when they do their plays, they'll ask me to write like an overture or like something for when the crowd's like shuffling in or between scene changes. So I'm actually writing a theme for Perot, the detective, who Agatha Christie's famous detective, for their production of Murder on the Orient Express, and I cannot wait for that because I'm going to be doing something a little more not big bandish, but it's something a style that I've never written before. So
Mhm.
I'm excited for that.
That sounds super interesting. But, like, just proof that, like, even in music as artists, we're expanding and we're trying things that we don't normally do, which I think is always the mark of growth, right? So I indulgent questions for me, strictly, that I wanna ask you. Well, I like to ask everybody which Godzilla films are their favorites and why. Do you have, like, a top 3?
Personal favorites. Monster Zero is number one.
Oh.
For sure. It's always been. I just love that movie, love the Planet X aliens, and love Akira Takarada and Nick Adams
Oh,
together. Some of the greatest,
icons.
the greatest chemistry like you'll ever see in a Godzilla film between them two.
Mhm, agreed.
So Monster Zero is at the top of my list. Then I'm a big fan of Godzilla 1984. That's one of my favorites. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, even though Akira Ifukube is my favorite Godzilla composer, on any given day, that the score to Godzilla 84 is my favorite Godzilla
Oh my
soundtrack.
god, it's so good. It's so good.
It was such a dream come true to interview Reijiro Kuroku for Kaiju Masterclass during the pandemic and be,
Oh, yes.
yeah, talking to him about that score. We were the first ones to ever interview him in English, as far as I know.
Mhm.
So that was awesome. Okay, so after Monster Zero, I can probably give you like what my rotating top 3 to 5 would be, and
Perfect,
it
yeah.
would, yeah, on any given day, it Godzilla 84, Godzilla 54, King Kong versus Godzilla sometimes comes into my top 5. Sometimes but it's usually in from 6 to 10. I'll be honest with you, I'm a really big fan of Son of Godzilla,
Which is great because more people need to be.
and
They really do.
I think more people are. I have been a defender of that movie for as long as I can remember, and I'm happy that there are a lot of fans that defend both that and Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, because if you can get past the way Godzilla looks, because that Godzilla suit isn't the best in Son of Godzilla. I know people who that's their favorite Godzilla suit because that's what they grew up with, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, but I happen to love Minya. I think Minya's got great personality, or Minira, as
Mhm.
I guess is the official spelling. You got to watch; you get corrected on these pronunciations sometimes. So, but looking at like just the if you look at the two island movies, basically the enemy monsters were just big versions of regular creatures: a giant
Mhm.
lobster, a giant spider, a giant mantis.
Mhm.
And those two movies, I think, are just so fun. They're so much fun. They're fast paced. They got great stories, wonderful casts, and there's so much to love in that. But I have a particular love of Son of Godzilla, and yeah, and in the Millennium series, like I'm a big fan of GMK.
Oh,
Um, really would have loved to have seen the original idea for that using Angiras and Varon.
me too.
Um, but the movie as it is, I really do enjoy. I love that version of Godzilla. That's one of my favorite versions of Godzilla. So
Same, it's so scary. So scary. Well, okay. Now if I were to ask you your top 3 musical scores.
okay, I'm gonna go with 84 is up there. Like I said, on any given day, it's my favorite one, even though Yves Kube is my favorite composer.
Mhm.
The score to 54, I have to put up there in the top 3. That's just I have to. And then I would probably say,
It's a
mm,
hard choice,
it
isn't it?
it's a really it's so difficult because there's so many great scores. Like it's so hard to, if I'm just picking three, like it's like, okay, Mechagodzilla 74 off the top of my head. Oh, but then I love the score to Son of Godzilla. And then some days I love the score to, Godzilla versus Megaguirus, or Godzilla versus Destroyer. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's like it's so hard to pick. It's so hard to
Yeah,
pick. But
yeah.
yeah, something approximately there.
No, I think that's a great selection. I mean, I already kind of showed one of mine, so obviously Godzilla versus Mothra 92. I would say this is tied with me for Michiru Oshima's Kiru duology. I love her scores for those films, especially Tokyo SOS.
Beautiful score.
This
Absolutely
the
beautiful.
moment where Mothra appears for the first time. Oh my god, like I could weep. Um, I love Koichi Sugiyama's Godzilla vs. Biollante score.
I love the music. I'm not always a fan of the way it is in the film, but there is some beautiful stuff. Like the Biollante suite on there is just, there's a
More of
beautiful
it should have been used.
there's that beautiful oboe solo, that da, na, 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 na,
Mhm.
na, 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 na.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that score gets a lot of hate, and I think it's because, I mean, I liked it in the film when I first saw it. As I got older and like sort of, I can see where some things aren't as fitting in for the score in
Mhm.
the movie as others, but I still think it's good music. You
Oh,
know what
for
I mean?
sure. Yeah.
Like
Like, I
it's
mean,
not.
there's a certain feel of mayhem sometimes depending on, like, the music, right? So I can definitely see where you're coming from on that.
But I'm also like, I find something to love in like every Godzilla score. It's like, I don't think there is a. If you were to ask me, is there a bad Godzilla score? I would say maybe Final. I used to say Final Wars all the time. But like, as I've sort of grown up a little bit, I've sort of softened on a lot of stuff, and like I get it. Final Wars it's not a movie I like, but it's a movie that's very popular. I'm the same way with. I'll tell you what. Like, just not to go off on a tangent, but like, I got that way with Godzilla 1998. Believe it or not, not a movie I like at all.
Mhm.
Uh, has a lot of fun things to it. It is a product of 1990s filmmaking. It still had the craftsmanship of miniatures and some man in suit technology and stuff like that. But I vitriolically hated that movie, and I hated Final Wars too. And like, it's so funny over the years. There's a generation of Godzilla fans, and this is going to be the case with every subsequent Godzilla movie that comes out. That's always going to be somebody's first Godzilla film.
Mhm. Yep.
And one of my very close friends in this fandom, my friend Patrick, and I don't think he's this isn't a secret or anything, but his first Godzilla movie was Godzilla 1998. So it's like, okay, I don't exactly, I'm never going to like that movie, but the fact that it did create a generation of fans who went back and watched the old stuff,
Mm.
you got to at least give it that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so even if like something like Shin Godzilla is not your thing, or even like Godzilla Final Wars was probably well, not probably, was definitely the first Godzilla movie for a lot of fans, and you have to take that perspective on it. Like every
Yeah.
Godzilla movie is somebody's first.
Well, and I think that we have to accept too that our tastes change as we get older. Like I know I used to detest Godzilla versus Megaguirus and Godzilla Final Wars. Now they're actually in my top 10. Like
Yeah.
they've meandered into my top 10. Which like especially for Megaguirus, never was expecting that, but I watched that film now and I really, really enjoy it. It's so good. I do want to mention my final favorite kaiju movie soundtrack.
Yes, Toshiyuki Watanabe,
Yeah,
incredible.
the first Mothra one. Oh my god.
Mhm. I
All the
ju-
karaoke tracks are on this too.
so you can sing along to it
I
and
sure as
and do
hell
your own
can.
yeah.
I
And I'll
sure
tell you
as hell.
what, how great are the Mothra songs in that movie? There's, I think, what, three or four of them, different
So
ones,
good.
completely different ones. I mean, there's obviously the classic, his version of the classic Koseki theme, and then I particularly love the melody when they're singing for the baby to hatch from the egg.
The Song of Prayer,
And
yes.
then that becomes the music when the larva's crossing the ocean. Like, how gorgeous is that
That
theme on string?
instrumental, that
Na
whole
na 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 na
I
na
personally
na. Yeah,
think that is one of the most beautiful scenes in a kaiju movie.
it is
It's
in front
so
of the sun, in front of
serene.
the sunset. Yeah,
Yeah, like that, like the instrumental is one of my favorite tracks. Like I also really love the song for Mothra Leo, like the song that the Elias sing when it's going through metamorphosis. Such a
yeah.
really like no, I know that the Mothra trilogy gets a lot of flack from people, but the musical scores themselves, I think, really
Oh,
cement those films as
they're
like,
fantastic. Watanabe gets overlooked. In fact, I'm always surprised that he never got a shot at a Godzilla film. Like, it's kind of like, not that that I don't like Hattori's score for Godzilla 2000, but I was surprised at the time that he didn't get a shot at that.
oh, for sure, because the music from those three movies are so distinct, and I think that I really think that they have a lot of staying power musically speaking. So, no, I agree with you. Toho, like, there's still an opportunity to give him a Godzilla movie. What are we doing?
To your point, like, there's so many great melodies, especially on that first Mothra score. Like, the march for the baby, when the baby Mothra arrives, that da na 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 na
Oh, it
na.
makes you feel it. It
It
makes you
is. It's
feel
so
the heroic,
emotional.
like coming to save the day. Like,
Well, I'll tell you what. It's funny because I think that's the only time Mothra's ever been scored like a superhero, because that bum 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 bum, but
oh, I love
that is
that one.
that's a superhero theme. That is
It's
a
so
complete
great.
superhero theme, and like Mothra is scored like a superhero.
I remember when I watched that. I think I was like 14 years old when I watched that movie for the first time. I was like shitting my pants over like that, like the entrances. I was just like, okay, the music and the entrances, they're getting me. Like the Mothra song in that movie, like it makes me want to, I don't know, dance. Just makes me want
It,
to dance.
it's a great score from top to bottom. Even like the beginning, when the egg is forming and stuff like that, and then the title, like da 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 na na na.
Oh gosh, yes. Oh, you're already giving me goosebumps over it too. I've
It's
It's been a
great.
while
It's
since I've
great.
watched that movie, but I think I'm gonna rewatch it again. I should be watching it yearly, considering how big of a Mothra fan I am. But
I'm
um,
trying to think. The last time I watched one of the trilogy, I think it was actually when they were playing them on the Godzilla Pluto channel. I think they were playing Mothra 3, which is not a movie that I care to watch too terribly much. Although I
mhm.
love that design of King Ghidorah in that movie. Like, that
Oh
that
yeah.
Ghidorah should have been the one that fought Godzilla in Final Wars. I think, like that.
Oh,
I
I
My
agree.
personal, just my opinion, just my
I
personal opinion.
agree 3000%. Well, okay, so I think you moving on to like favorite kaiju and humans. I think you mentioned that Anguirus is your favorite kaiju character.
Correct. After
Okay,
Godzilla.
after Godzilla. Do you have like a third one?
So I'm a big fan of the '70s Mechagodzilla. Both versions I love. Probably my favorite Godzilla villain. Obviously, everybody loves King Ghidorah. As far as like other monsters, I'm always gonna throw the classic Mothra and the SOS Mothra into my top 10.
Mhm.
I'm going to go. I love Baragon. I think Baragon's cool. Really cool. It's so hard to like be like, who's your favorite ones. All I know is like Anguirus is my favorite after Godzilla, and then like I said, I love Mechagodzilla. I think Gigan is cool as hell. And
Mhm.
I mean, and I'm a big fan of Biolante. In fact,
Oh gosh.
I think of all the Heisei monsters, I think Biolante would be such a great candidate for like a reinvention in a movie, just because like if you think of like the concept of the creature, being part of the environment around it and stuff like that, like would be such an awesome thing to explore,
Mhm.
especially with today's technology. Like, I mean, they got a lot of mileage out of Biolante in that film. For as rushed, I don't know if you know how rushed that
It
production
was
was.
very rushed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, they
Godzacheski has documented that pretty extensively, just like how crazy that schedule on that movie was. to get it
Mhm.
out by December. But I would love to see an update on Biolante personally.
I agree 1000% on that. Do you have a favorite human character?
Favorite human character in a Godzilla film? Probably, I'm gonna go Nick Adams in Monster Zero.
Great selection.
I
He's
just
so
I think
howdy doody.
he's so like oozing charisma. Like he's just so awesome on screen. Um, and if I was gonna go Japanese characters, I think because of his performance, Serizawa in Godzilla,
Mhm.
because Akihiko Harada um, played that role to perfection and really made you feel. Um, and it's for the opposite reasons. He's a very tragic character, and
Mhm.
like I think of the scene when and this was something I didn't really realize until I listened to, I think, Steve Rifle's one of his commentaries. I believe it was him. Uh, when, right after Ogata and Serizawa fight over the oxygen destroyer, and Ogata gets injured, and Emiko starts cleaning his head up, and it cuts to Serizawa's face, and you can see the look of heartbreak on his face. It's in that moment that he realizes she's in love with that guy. The woman that he was set to marry loves another man, and it's him, and you
Mhm.
can see it in his face, and the weight of his suffering sort of comes down to that scene, and then what happens right after that when they watch the prayer for peace on television,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Haunting. It's so haunting. Like, no, I recently just rewatched that it was like a few weeks ago, I think. And I like remember noticing that scene too, and I was just like, "Ooh, I've never really zoned in on that before," but that was really heavy. That was so heavy. Well, here is the big question that I always ask everyone. How would you say Godzilla has shaped you into the person you are today?
Well, I got to conduct orchestras because of Godzilla, which was some of the greatest thrills of my life. I've met a lot of great friends because of Godzilla. Godzilla fueled my sense of wonder as a kid and growing up. In more recent years, I've become sort of like an advocate for mental health and people really making sure that they're taking care of their mental health because
Mhm,
I didn't always do so. Godzilla sort of not rediscovering, because it's not like I ever stopped being a Godzilla fan, but really like a few years back, I was going through a particularly like, like people have difficult times. I was going through one. I just started rewatching Godzilla movies and stuff like that, and it just sort of it made things click for me again. It like because like I found myself like really passionless about the things, even like music at times, like I didn't want
mhm,
to do, and like one of my favorite things to do with Godzilla, like right behind, yeah, over there, that's my cabinet of misfit unfinished model kits. I'm a big Godzilla model kit fan. I love to do model kits. I love to build them and paint them, and it's very therapeutic for me. And I even kind of lost my passion for that for like a brief amount of time, and um, sort of remembering why I love this stuff kind of helped me through. And like I said, and it's and this is a message for anybody out there who's watching. If you're ever going through anything, don't be afraid to talk to somebody. Always talk to
yes,
somebody. And therapy works wonders too. Just throwing that out there.
it
But
does.
no, but Godzilla definitely in more recent years sort of helped me out with that. Godzilla in general has shaped my love of science fiction movies, fantasy films, Japanese culture, and I just think Godzilla is just such a cool character, and it's almost like it's funny when we were talking earlier about how popular Godzilla is right now, and it's sometimes I wonder, is it too much of a good thing?
Mm,
And the answer is, no, because that's what you want. You want this thing to be popular, and you want to create new fans and sustain the franchise. So that way, listen, we're gonna keep getting MonsterVerse movies, and I know that some people love them, some people don't love them. if we also keep getting Godzilla minus ones or Godzilla singular points or the other, like if we keep getting good stuff that we love, or I mean, there's people I'm sure that aren't crazy about those either. The point
Mhm.
is, there's something out there now, literally, I think for everybody,
Yes,
and that's
agreed.
kind of cool. You get to sort of like what you like, and if you're not a fan of Godzilla X Kong, you've got Godzilla minus one. If you're a fan of both, good
Well,
deal.
then you have it made, right? Like,
And
you have
you
it made.
yeah,
So, no, that was a very thought-provoking answer, especially I mean, I really resonate on the mental health front because, I mean, Godzilla just doesn't escape, but as, like, a mode of, like,
good word, escape. That
showing
yep.
yeah, like, showing like, that persistence and perseverance, like, that really kind of re like, I really kind of dredge that out of Godzilla whenever I watch those films, especially if I'm going through something difficult. So, no, I think that's something that a lot of people can really relate with. You did mention that you collect Godzilla model kits. Are there any other things that you like to collect?
I mean, I'm not the biggest collector in the world. I buy what I like, so I have a mix of things. Like I've got Bandai figures in the other room. Like I said, I'm mostly into model kits nowadays, and posters and paper. And like I said, I love what Cavity Colors is doing because I'm a big hoodie guy. So I've got
Mhm.
like tons of that stuff, and soundtracks and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, like I Bondi right now is just insane. The things
Oh,
that they're
yeah.
putting out, the volume they're putting them out with, it's like so hard to keep up with sometimes.
Them and
And
Super 7, you know, they're
and
really churning out stuff.
it's crazy. Um I was at this store called Books a Million when I was in Nashville, and there's tagged Bondi toys sitting on pegs there. Like there's a Bandai Godzilla 1991 with the tag, Godzilla 2000. I got Final Wars Godzilla 54, and I'm like, where did this come from? Like, how did we get here? Like, you go to Target, there's just Godzilla. There's in the
Yeah,
collectible
like,
section on the
even
back wall.
in, like, 2006 when we were at our most depressed with no Godzilla, and very even limited merchandising, like, we would have killed to see all of that, honestly. No,
Again,
I always think about that.
the concept was so foreign because of how. I mean, I hate to use the term because I think it's an overused term, but how gatekeepy Godzilla or Toho was of Godzilla.
Mhm,
Um, it was they barely licensed Godzilla outside of Japan, it felt like. And the thought of ever seeing real, I mean, we had the Bandai Creation line that came out
mhm.
around, I think that was '04,
I think
somewhere around
so,
there.
yeah.
And I apologize if you can hear my cat. He's always yelling at me to feed him, even when he's already
Oh,
eaten.
cats are
So,
welcome on the stream, so
you want to come up here and say hi? Come
a
here.
cat meow. We love a cat meow.
Say hi, Harvey.
Oh, a tuxedo kitty. I have a tuxedo kitty too.
Yes, his name is Harvey after Harvey Dent, Harvey Two-Face from Batman.
Is his personality very two-faced too?
Yeah, he can be a little like that. So
Oh
got
god, what
sidetracked by the
happened?
kid by the cat.
I can't remember where we were okay,
Oh,
go
oh,
ahead.
yeah. So just the thought of how good we have it now, even if it's not something, if it's not for you, like it's there, it's out there. The character's popular, and there's a little something for everybody. Like I said before.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. I do have one more musically indulgent question before I ask you my final
Sure,
question.
sure.
So, let me try to word it in a way that seems coherent. If you could go back in time and re-experience a piece of music from a Godzilla film for the first time, which one would it be and why?
I would
Yeah.
go back to that day I talked about, the day I played hooky from school and got the Destroyer soundtrack, because nothing had that. After that was so impactful. Like I said, being able to hear that music as loud as I was able to crank it on my sick day from school.
Mm,
Um, I would go back because again, like I was, I think, 11 or 12. Well, 96. I would have gotten that, so I would have been I would have been 11 years old. I would have turned 12 that October. So I believe I was 11 or 12. But to sort of have the music, because what I had up until that point, like you, was either the music as played in the film that you would record with a cassette of recorder, um, and I had a bootleg of Godzilla versus Destroyer, a camera bootleg, and I would just replay the end credits over and over and over and over just to listen to the music.
Mm.
And so to finally have it as a pure sonically beautiful like presentation on a disc, like was almost like a turning point. It was like a linchpin moment in my life, and I would just want to go back and re-experience that wonder of that day.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good one. Like, I mean, absolutely. I think for me, I don't think I've shared this on the show yet, but there are like a couple of instances. Like, if I could go back and re-listen to the first Mothra trilogy film soundtrack, oh, I'd weep. Another soundtrack that really caught me by surprise that I did not think that I would like, but I fell in love with it, is the Ultraman Nexus soundtrack. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I will never forget Jim Ballard from do you remember Tokyo Monsters by any chance?
I knew Jim Ballard. He was cool guy. I would talk
Yeah,
to him. Well,
Jim.
I should say I would talk to him like every now and then.
Oh, he's so great. And I remember it was like my senior year in high school. I was firmly in the Godzilla fan forum message board Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist is like the word of the night, I guess.
Mhm.
But I remember like being like, I really liked this one song I listened to from Ultraman Nexus, and he literally sent me the entire Ultraman Nexus soundtrack.
Yeah, he's a good
And
dude.
I remember downloading it because at this point in time I had an MP3 player. I had upgraded from a cassette tape. And I remember just like
Technology,
listening to
man.
it. I listened to it in big headphones and I was just like, this is out of this world. So moments like that matter, I think, Godzilla fans.
I will say this. Thinking off the top of my head, the first time I ever heard the main title of Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 93. The first time I ever heard the
Oh,
93 Mechagodzilla theme was also like a, oh my god, like that theme is just
da,
so
da,
bum,
da, da,
bum, bum,
da. Oh,
bum, ba, da, 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 da. Like, oh my goodness, that theme is just so heavy and awesome. And what's kind of cool about that theme is I believe that is Akira Ifukube's sort of, I think that's his theme for technology, because that theme goes back to, well, it goes back to a classical composition of his from a work called Rhythmic Games for Children. Specifically, it's in a piece called, I think, The Game of Arnhat. You can hear on the piano, it's like dun dun ga da ga dun da ga da ga dun da ga da ga dun. But
oh.
there was this like public service thing that was made, I think, for Nikatsu Studio, maybe. um it was about like the train system, I believe, in Tokyo, and he uses that theme back in the 50s to represent that. And
I never knew that. See, this is like I'm obsessed right now because I'm learning things I didn't even know.
yeah, I'll try and find it for you, and I'll see if I can send it over to you, because I have it like on, actually I have it on like one or two different discs. um I forget what the title of it was. I think it was something moves people. Sumare moves people. Forgive me for the titles escaping my brain right now, but that theme is in there, and
No,
I'd be happy to.
I'd love to hear
All
it.
and that's the cool. I'll tell you what, Donnie. That's one of the most beautiful things. Another thing that I've loved. With the association of Godzilla music is going back and discovering Ifukube's classical music, his concert pieces,
Mm,
because the DNA, not only the DNA, but sometimes the straight themes for his kaiju films that we love are originated in his classical pieces.
yes.
Like the main title to Godzilla 54, which he used in a film like 5 years prior, was originates from the Arctic forest. The Oto Island sacrifice music, I think, goes back to Japanese Rhapsody, which I think it was Japanese Rhapsody. That's Eric Hominick is the guy to ask about all this. He is just expert. And by the way, I gotta plug his book
Let's
that's
plug
coming
that
out.
book. Yes.
Yeah. So tentatively, I think that the tentative title so far is Symphonia Gojira, and it's going to be the first English language authoritative book about Akira Ifukube, and it explores a lot of his, a lot of things that people didn't know about him, like his nationalistic pride. It examines his music, and there's I was fortunate enough to have read like an early version of the manuscript because I helped Eric out with a little bit of like with some stuff here and there in it, and it's going to be really good if you really want like a good academic sort of, and it's not like what I love about it is it was he got his doctorate and it was like he did his dissertation on it, so he took his dissertation and evolved it into this wonderful book, and it's academic, but it's not so academic to be inaccessible, and that's what's going to be really great about it. It's going to be, so anybody that's going to really want to get to know Akira Ifukube, you're getting it from the smartest guy in the Western Hemisphere, because he still runs the official English language website, and he had unprecedented access to the people who were around Ifukube all his life. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
that might be a quintessential piece of collector's item, or a collector's item, everyone.
It'll definitely
really love the music.
It'll be a must-have book. It's absolutely going to be a must-have book for sure.
No, I'm super stoked about it. I think that's going to be monumental. Well, I do have one final question for you,
Sure.
John. So, do you have any advice for Godzilla fans who may be new to the franchise?
Yeah, like what you like. Don't be afraid to like what you like, even if other people don't like it. And make sure you surround yourself with awesome people, and just make sure that you don't get so caught up in tribalism and like politics of fandom politics, I should say. And just enjoy it as much as possible, and don't do the things that you don't enjoy. Don't put up with things you don't enjoy about it. Just stick to what you like about it, and that, because that was a lesson I learned.
Same.
You gotta sort of like, but that also comes as that's coming from me, somebody who was on the other side of things, where I used to be very vocal about the things I disliked, and I'd be judgmental and stuff like that, and I'm not like that anymore. Like I'm more of, it's much more fun to just be like, we live in a world that's got enough problems. The things we love that are like you said, perfect word, our escape from our problems in the world. It's not worth getting bent out of shape. Like I told myself after Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, my soul was so crushed by that movie. I was like, I'm never letting a movie do this to me again. And that's where like I decided that, you know what, if something comes out and I just don't like it, I'm not. It's just entertainment at the end. People forget that as much as we love, as deeply as we love this stuff, it's still just entertainment.
It is, yeah.
So don't take it to a point where it like
you resent it. Like,
you
don't want to resent it, right?
Yeah, you want to just have fun with it.
Do you have any like advice for like aspiring Godzilla musicians?
Yep. Don't be afraid to write. Don't be afraid to try and figure stuff out. Exercise your ears as much as possible, and just play, practice. I've been playing guitar for a while now, and I recently started taking lessons again because I realized that I still was nowhere near as good as I could be. And so I actually sought out, if you want a cool, okay, I got to tell a really cool story if you
absolutely
okay.
Go for it.
So my guitar teacher 20 years ago, is a guy by the name of Frank, and I didn't know what happened to him. His website had sort of been outdated, but I've been thinking about him and being like, I would just love to, because he's a guitar professor. Like he's as serious of a guitar teacher as like very few like him. You know what I mean? So my desire to sort of want to really, because I've put the guitar down and I've been doing more like composing on the piano and stuff like that, and I just love to play guitar. And so I'm thinking to myself, man, I'd love to find out if I didn't even know if he was still around because he's 81 years old. So fast forward, I'm thinking about this, right? And I'm at the post office maybe a month ago, a month or so, month and a half ago, right?
Mhm.
I'm standing there in line, shipping a box out to my friend in Canada. And I just hear this person behind me go, "Excuse me, sir, I'm late for an appointment. Do you mind if I just go ahead of you, please? I just need a stamp." And I'm like, I'm like, "Yeah, sure, absolutely." And I turn around, and it was my old guitar teacher, Frank. And I literally, like, I sat there and I was like, I got like the will o' the wisps. I was like, I was like, oh my God. What? I'm like, Frank Flandorfer. Like, that's his name. I'm like, and he took him a moment, and I was like, John DeSentis, I was your student 20 years ago. Da, 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 da. He's like, I'm like, he's like, oh, and because
It came, yeah.
he's had thousands of students since me. And then he says, "Oh, composer." And I was like, you're into film." So he remembered me then. And I'm like, "Do you still?" I was really quickly, because he was in a hurry. I was like, "Do you still teach?" "Yeah, man, I still teach. Here's my card." And so I started taking lessons with him again. And just one of those weird
Mhm.
instances in life when you just like question, is fate a real thing?
It's one of
Is
the
the universe?
full circle moments. So many full circle moments. No, that is such a really cool story, and I don't know, like, I think that advice for Godzilla fans too, like, if you are a musician and you are
Play.
passionate about these movies and these scores, play the music,
Play
get
without
lessons.
fear. Play without fear, without prejudice, without any sort of um I'm a big person, like I'll be the first person to tell you, don't give an F about what anybody else thinks about you. Just
Mhm.
be yourself. Go, and don't be afraid to screw up in life. Don't be afraid to screw up. As long as you freaking learn and make and you come along,
Yeah.
you evolve and you learn your lessons. And don't be afraid to screw up. Don't be afraid to to just play your heart out. That's it. Just pick up an instrument and just start learning, and it'll all fall into place. And you, sir, need to start composing again.
I I will start doing so again. Like that, like this conversation has been encouraging enough for me. I think I will.
Yeah,
I think
just
I
for,
will.
like I said, if nothing else, just for yourself.
Just for myself.
Yeah.
I used to like compose little songs for the Godzilla fanfics that I wrote. Like it was
Mhm.
so nerdy. Maybe I'll do that again. Why not? Why
Why
not?
not? Why
John,
not?
I this has been such a great conversation. Where can people find you and find your stuff?
Well, I'm active on Instagram. My Instagram is public, so anybody can follow me on there. I pretty much just use it for posting music related things that I love and my own projects. I'm on Facebook. I don't post as much on there anymore. I am still on Twitter, or X, as I guess it's called. Um, don't really post a whole lot on there anymore. But that's where I'm at. And my music related stuff is on pretty much most of the streaming services. So you can listen to it. Leave a comment, tell me how much it sucks. It's all good. It's on
Yeah.
YouTube. It's
Or how amazing it is. You
either
can go
way.
listen.
Either
I
way, I'm okay.
I found Kaiju Crescendo on Spotify. I do have the
Mhm.
CD of it, so like, but I found it on Spotify, and I was like, well, here I go. I'm going to be listening to this forever now. But no, like, thank you for sharing your music with us, your passion with us, and your story. Like it. Thank you so much. It really means a lot.
Well, my pleasure, and thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun, and I really like what you do with this show. And keep things positive, and keep doing what you do, Donnie.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
Of
My
course.
friends, do not forget that Growing Up with Godzilla premieres, if I have my crap together, the first and third Sunday of every month at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to click like for that pesky algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Go follow John's socials. I will have those listed in the description section of the video. And most importantly, Godzilla fans, please do not forget to keep standing tall. Have a good rest of your night. Bye.